All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that tangled web of servers and clouds and remote sites that has become your day-to-day reality. We're talking about IT sprawl. And honestly, it's probably the biggest, quietest drain on your team's productivity and your budget. So let's dive into how we can finally get that beast under control.
So, let me just ask you this straight up. Does your day feel like you're constantly scrambling, logging into a dozen different tools just to get a basic picture of what's going on? Are you trying to juggle on-prem data centers, public clouds, and all your edge locations with this patchwork quilt of separate consoles? If you're nodding your head right now, you are not alone. This is the new normal, and it is getting harder to manage every single day.
I mean, the sheer scale of what we're dealing with is just mind-boggling. Let this number sink in. 181 zettabytes. That is the insane amount of data that's created and consumed every single day. And every last byte of that data needs to be stored, managed, and secured somewhere in your infrastructure. You can see how the complexity just starts to snowball, right?
And on top of all that data, we've got an application avalanche headed straight for us. By 2026, analysts are predicting 750 million new applications will be out there. And guess what? Each one of those needs to be deployed, managed, and secured across all your different environments, adding yet another layer to this management puzzle.
So where is all this stuff happening? Well, it's not in your nice, clean central data center anymore. By 2026, it's expected that a full 50%, half, of all new data will be generated out at the edge. We're talking remote offices, factory floors, retail stores. This just pushes your infrastructure and your management headache out to the farthest corners of your business.
This slide really says it all, doesn't it? On the left, that was the past. A single, simple data center. Pretty easy to manage, pretty easy to secure. But on the right, well, that's today. It's this messy mix of private data centers, public clouds, colo facilities, and all those edge sites we just mentioned. Let's be honest, it's a chaotic, distributed reality.
And look, this isn't just an inconvenience. This sprawl comes with very real and very high hidden costs. It's hitting your teams, your budget, and your security in ways that can seriously hold your business back. Let's really break down what those costs look like.
So first off, you get these operational silos. Your cloud team uses totally different tools than your on-prem team, and that just slows everything down. But it gets more expensive. You end up fighting a talent war on multiple fronts. I mean, trying to find one person who's an expert in AWS, Azure, and your on-prem setup, good luck. That talent bottleneck slows down your most important projects. And the biggest one, the security risk. Every single one of these management blind spots is a potential open door for an attacker. It's not just a tech problem, it's a huge business risk. Every day you operate this way is another day you're rolling the dice.
And here's the thing, you are not alone in feeling this pain. A recent study found that an incredible 94% of organizations believe they would benefit from a single, unified place to manage everything. The desire for a simpler, better way is pretty much universal.
Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But this is where we pivot to the solution. The good news is that unified console people are asking for, it exists, and it's built around a concept called Nutanix Central. Just look at this for a second. This is the after picture. Instead of a dozen different tabs and logins, imagine this, seeing your entire global infrastructure, every data center, every cloud, every single edge site on one world map. You can instantly see storage in Sydney, compute health in Chicago, and alerts from your deployment in Frankfurt, all from one dashboard. This is what we mean by taming the sprawl.
So what is it exactly? Well, Nutanix Central is a unified management console built specifically for the complex world we all live in now. It really is that single pane of glass that IT teams have been dreaming about, turning that chaotic mess into a real command center.
You know, here's probably the best way to think about it. You know how simple and powerful the AWS console is, where you can manage all their different services? Okay, now imagine having that exact same kind of experience, but for your entire Nutanix ecosystem, whether it's running in your data center, in a public cloud, or out at the edge. That's the whole idea behind Nutanix Central.
Okay, so that's the big picture. It sounds great in theory, right? But how does it actually work in practice? Let's take a look at the core capabilities that actually make this reality.
It really boils down to three simple but powerful things. First, you get one view. That's the global map we saw. No more switching between a million screens. Second, you get one set of rules. Just imagine setting a security policy for a new user and having it automatically apply everywhere, on-prem, in AWS, at a remote office. Boom, instantly. And third, you get one-click deployment. You can browse a whole marketplace of apps and services and deploy them to any location, anywhere in the world, with a single click. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is delivering real-world results. Mitchell Blake over at Westbanco, he calls it a game changer for efficiency and convenience. He talks about being able to manage alerts, do upgrades, and access the marketplace across all their sites without having to log into a bunch of different consoles. This is the kind of tangible business impact we're talking about.
So let's connect the dots here on what this really means for you. You start with unified visibility. That immediately makes your operations way more efficient. That efficiency leads to a much simpler management experience for your teams. Less frustration, more getting stuff done. And here's the kicker. This gives you true enterprise-grade control, which frees up your best people from just keeping the lights on to working on projects that actually grow the business. It even helps you tackle those thorny issues like data sovereignty.
Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. A manager of managers sounds great, but it could also bring its own set of problems. So let's just get ahead of that and tackle some of the toughest, most common questions that always come up.
And this is the big one, right? The number one question we get: are you just adding another layer of complexity? Am I just trading a bunch of tools for one more big, complicated tool to manage? It is a totally fair question.
And the answer is a definite no. Because you have to understand that Nutanix Central doesn't replace what you have, it unifies it. It doesn't add a new complicated layer, it sits on top as that global manager of managers. It simply connects all your existing Prism Central instances, which actually subtracts complexity by giving you that one single entry point for everything.
Okay, next critical question, and this is a huge deal for anyone in finance, healthcare, or government. How can you possibly use a global management tool when you have super strict rules like GDPR that say your operational data has to stay within your country's borders?
The answer is actually incredibly simple. You can run Nutanix Central right inside your own data center. This means none of your operational data, none of your telemetry ever leaves your control. It all stays on-prem. You get that beautiful, unified, cloud-like experience without ever sending data outside your borders, which makes staying compliant with things like GDPR a whole lot easier.
So let's just bring it all home. The problem of siloed tools? Solved by a unified console and global dashboards. Those scary security and compliance gaps that create so much business risk? Closed by centralized governance and that on-prem control we just talked about. And all those inefficient operations that waste time and money? They're transformed by centralized alerts and a single marketplace. For every major pain point that IT sprawl creates, Nutanix Central has a direct and really elegant solution.
So we'll end on this thought. All those trends we saw at the beginning, the explosion of data, apps, and the edge, they are not slowing down. In fact, they're accelerating. Your IT world is only going to get more complex and more distributed from here. So the real question isn't whether you can afford to adopt a unified management strategy. It's, can you really afford the ever-growing cost of complexity?